But I'm going to show you what we've done in 8th grade science around the National Park tour that we've been working on for a couple of years. I'm going to talk a little bit about some teacher goals and just an overview of the project. In the past, we've done this project as a PowerPoint, and it seemed kind of blah. It was really the kids researching a national park, pretending to be a park ranger, and then presenting back to the class about that park. And they were looking at the geological features of each of the parks, so relating it in terms of science. And the teacher, Michelle Fox, and I kind of felt like it was kind of stale. It really wasn't. The kids didn't take on the role-playing role of, I am a park ranger and here's my park and come visit it. So we wanted to add a little twist to it. We wanted to put it into Google Earth and see if we added the Google Earth element, would it engage the students more, and would it interest them more, and would they take on that role as the National Park Ranger? And we also use Google Docs a lot in this process. We use Google Docs to store and share the KMC files, the Google Earth files. We also use the Google Docs for planning, for writing a script for their presentation, and for the teacher to communicate back and forth to the student throughout the whole process. For me as an ITS, my goals were for them to learn Google Earth 6.1, for them to gain better project planning for these types of projects that are long-term, where they start in the library and then finish in the lab. A lot of them have a hard time breaking up the project. To learn a little basic HTML, and to become better presenters. And that was one goal that actually the teacher also wanted as well. A lot of times the kids will just read from their slides and not elaborate and not have a really good script at hand. It's just kind of, they look like this the entire time. So, and as 8th graders, we wanted to send them off a little bit better prepared as presenters. So some sample projects I have for you. I just brought 2 of them. This one is in Colorado. And so we basically showed them how to do place marks. We click on any of the place marks. We've embedded images. And if you notice, the text isn't all that much. It's exactly what we would want to see in a PowerPoint, but usually don't get. We usually get the full-on sentences or paragraphs, and the kids read from it. So that was nice, that we were able to cut down the amount of text, have a nice image in there. The kids can zoom to that particular part in the park. Is it going to go? No, I think I clicked a little bit too close. So they would go through their tour, showing each of their points. And some kids chose to, if I go down to the Colorado River one, in Google Earth 6.1, there's a street view piece. So it's nice to have this picture, but sometimes it's cool to drag yourself right into the middle of the Colorado River.
Cool.
And show what the Colorado River looks like. And they learn to pan around, give you a little 360 tour of that point in the river. Hope I'm not making anybody sick. You know, and they can travel along. So it's much more dynamic than just a regular PowerPoint. So that was one student. Then we had another student who did Acadia. Go to Acadia. There we go. And what was nice was the kids really got an idea of where in the world in the country is this park. And this particular student even changed her place marks so that for here there's a little house, here we've got camping, water, and so on. And again, the text isn't all that overwhelming like you might find on a PowerPoint. And one of the things the teacher did to help with that, I'm going to go out of this for a second. She had them write scripts to go along with their presentations, and they had the scripts with them. And by using Google Docs, she was able to comment throughout their script and have them elaborate more. So where you see red is the teacher's comments. And that's how she gave them feedback and prompted them for more information. So I'm just going to scroll a little bit. And make them talk more about the scientific things. And the great thing about doing this throughout the process of writing the script, the teacher was able to grab them before they actually made the presentation and go over what they were missing, what they needed, and she could do that in the convenience of her own home, in her classroom during her prep time, instead of having to like have the kids turn in papers or try and catch them during class time while they're working on the presentation. She could look at their Google Docs throughout because it was shared with them. This is the other one. Okay. So lessons learned. Darn it. There we go. We really liked that it was more of a presentation. It was very interesting for the entire class to watch, where the PowerPoints they found weren't all that interesting all the time. The kids were able to learn a little bit of HTML, and the Google Earth made the whole thing more dynamic. We did also learn that not all kids have access to Google Earth at home, whether or not they have a computer, so it was a bit of a struggle for a couple of students. So we're going to think about how we can make it more accessible to them next year. File management with Google Earth, a lot of kids would put their place marks outside of their Google Earth folder, and when they saved it, they lost a place mark and they couldn't understand why. So I think we're going to go through that a little bit more clearly, a little bit more step by step, and not take for granted that they could follow along when we were giving directions as quickly as we were. And a couple extra things in the HTML directions we needed to add that weren't there. Resizing images, how to make paragraph separation so there were nicer line breaks between the text and the images, just little pretty things that we needed to add in there. And that's it. Are there any questions?
I'm sorry if I missed it. What was
Okay.
the HTML that they had to learn?
It was really basic stuff. I can bring up the
Well,
sheet.
not specifically, but I mean, what did they have to modify?
Like modifying the text color if they wanted to, making the text size bigger, because
Okay.
the Google Earth text size is rather small, and when they're presenting it, they needed it to be a little bit bigger, so we wanted it to be bigger. And maybe even changing the font if they wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But also resizing the image. The only way you can resize the image is to change the image size in the HTML
Okay.
itself.
Did you say how long did they spend on this project?
I'd say 2 weeks. Not between the library time, the lab time, and finishing the whole thing up. They only had about 3 days in the lab to work on the specific Google Earth piece of it.
And the lab time being how long each?
They have about, depending on the day, it's around 50 minutes. Yeah, 50, 55 minutes. And a lot of kids did have Google Earth at home, and because they were uploading their KMZs to Google Docs, they were able to pull them down at home, work on them some more, and bring it back up.
Other questions? Okay.